Hi everyone, Ray from Pro String. Another tutorial, another racket restringing tutorial. And in today's racket restringing tutorial, we are going to restring a Prince Spectro Pro. Prince Spectro Pro. We're going to go for a balance of control and power. We're going to leave it at 25 pounds of tension. This is a little bit of a very different stringing pattern to the norm for a squash racket. It has shared holes for the vertical strings. Yes, for the vertical strings. A lot of times it's shared holes for mains and crosses where they share the same hole. In this case, it's just the mains, and you will see how that works in a moment. So, we're going to cut 12.5 lengths of a racket for this racket, just to be safe. It is a longer size head, has 14 mains, and if I'm not mistaken, 18 crosses. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, effectively 18, that's right, yeah. 1, so 12.5 lengths is the full racket. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and a half. Right, cool. We're just using a normal basic synthetic gut. Client didn't want to go for anything too fancy. Seems like a person that doesn't really play squash often. Has brought 2 rackets though. Yeah. They actually had a few long conversations with them about the strings and whatnot. Ended up having more than one conversation with them, which is common. But anyway, cool. So 7 to each side. We have our middle 2 strings, 1 to each side. Make sure you set up your racket nice and nicely on your stringing machine. Should have some movement, as you can see. Yeah. Don't apply much pressure on the knobs of the stringing machine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have seen a few stringers lose their mind on this kind of racket. It looks like a pretty normal squash racket, but it's excuse me, but it's not. A bit of a cough going on, which seems to be getting worse over the last day or so. But anyway, 25 pounds of tension. As you saw, we have to start from the bottom. We've pulled the string across the top of the racket and back down. So hold your clamp upwards a little bit. Don't let it fall down. Hold it up. There you have it. First string pulled. Make sure you're not having to apply lots of tension to close the clamp. Prince makes a few of these rackets, so very interesting here. We're going to skip the the second main hole. We're going to jump straight to the third one. Because it's a shared holes stringing patterns for the mains, we have to give space to come back down on the second hole to come back through and around. If that makes sense. Might make more sense once we restring it. But yes, if you're not familiar with Prince rackets, they do have a few models that do exactly the same thing. I'm going to give myself a nice sharp edge here because we normally have, the grommets are naturally made a bit bigger, or wider should we say, just sheerly because you need to pass through 2 strings as to your typical 1 string per each hole. So make sure you clamp the right string. So I know that's the second one, so you can follow it down. That makes it easier for you. There you go. Remember, stringing always just 3 to each side, never more than 3. You want to make sure you string symmetrically and not add too much stress to the frame. Therefore, in 3s, and then once you get to the end, it typically be 2 strings. Yeah, so again, I did go through the third hole. because I'm going to pull the second main. Despite pulling it through the third time, I need to go under here just to make sure the strings sit well in the grommet. There we go. Come through quite nicely. I may have not needed to go under. I didn't need to go under. You'll see sometimes that the string doesn't sit very well. So you have to figure out if you have to go kind of under the string and then through, or just over like I have done now. Over seems to be fine. Yep. No problems there. Perfect. Looks good. And you'll see, well, I hope you can see, it's a bit of a funny angle. But anyway, here, hopefully you can see that. You see how the string comes around? So we need that to happen twice. It's going to come around again. So I'm going to kind of string backwards, if you like if I was standing there, or despite standing where I am. So, let's see, that looks about right. I might have to go back. Let's see. I think it's okay though. Sometimes, because you're sharing the same hole, sometimes the string crosses over this the one next to it, because you can see, right, there's two strings going into the same hole, and sometimes you have to go over and under, and sometimes until you don't pull the string, until the string adjusts itself to sit nice and flush. Yeah. So let's have a look. I'll show you in a moment how that now looks. It looks pretty clean. Yeah. So there's two strings. Neither of them are crossing over, let's say like that, but they're sitting separately. Okay, they're touching obviously, but they're sitting separately, not crossing over, which makes it look very unappealing to the eye or very unprofessional. So now, I've come up to the last cross on the bottom. Well, it's not the last cross. You'll see what I mean. With this racket, it's a lot more about see what I mean, because explaining it is a little bit difficult. So normally on a normal squash racket, tennis, you would just follow the holes along. However, again, we're skipping another main. So we're skipping the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th main. We're jumping to the 7th. And if you've thought about it already, you're right. And if you haven't, well, you haven't. We're gonna come back down here. Yeah, and I think, yeah, that looks fine. So, oh, I'm a bit short actually. So I'll figure that out in a moment. But I'm gonna leave that one there like that, because I need to do 3 on each side. I don't want to pull that string. I want to compensate to each side as best as we can. And I think this is gonna have to go under. I'm already seeing that it doesn't sit flush. It wants to cross over the other string. But 1, 2, 3, 4. We are going to go to the 4th hole though. Be careful when you're pulling the strings, especially if you're using 130 like I am now. The strings, I can hear them rubbing together. All right, cool. So, strings are looking nice and flush, no overlapping, straight in and out, let's say. So I've unfortunately left myself a little bit short on the knot, on the, not for the knot, but for the last main to reach the tension head. But that's okay, we're going to use our starting clamp. So again, at the bottom we just carry on, but we are going to skip our 6th main string, jump to the 7th. So weaving on this racket is not normal. You can see the weaving is going to be a lot more complex. It's not super difficult, but yeah, I mean, if you've never done it before, it may cause you a little bit of a headache, but you know, if you have some experience, it shouldn't be an issue. So I'm actually going to leave myself some space here, because I have a cross string that later, if I leave the clamp too close, the cross string clamp will be in the way of the 1st and 2nd cross string. So I'm short. I don't know if you see that. Let's see what the camera can see. Just curious. All right, so now you guys can see that. I like this angle. I'm just trying out a new angle. You can now see the tension. Had I been stringing the last few videos I've made, you cannot see this part of the machine. It's just the racket. So let me know what you think of the angle. Really helpful for me. But here's the starting clamp. Where's my famous piece of string that I need from every now and again when I make this boo-boo. It's not, I mean, yeah, it doesn't happen often, but yeah, it's happened, and it's okay. That's why we have these type of tools for, which most people also use a starting clamp for the tying of the knots, as you'll see in a moment as well. So, here we go. Pulled the string through both holes, both sides of the starting clamp, in other words, all 4 holes. Point the string towards the starting the tension head. I'm going to pull this across a bit further, closer to the racket. So, anyway, I'm going to up the tension 15% because it is my last main string. Oh, it's not right. So I don't know if you guys. I'm going to pull that again. So you can see there's some crossing of the strings here. It doesn't look good, but sometimes it's hard to see until you physically pull the string. So I've gone over, but now I need to go under. Strange, right? Yeah. So I'm going to go underneath the string here. You've got the string pulling across. You want to go under because if not, when you apply tension, when the tension head applies tension, it's a little bit too close to the racket to my liking. It will pop up probably. String is nice and flush now. Sweet, perfect. Right, so clamps are slightly in the way, so I'm going to have to readjust this. I don't like leaving such a. Oh, sorry. I'm going to pull that again. But before I do that, I'm going to move my other clamp actually. Which is fine. I can readjust that in a moment. I'll pull that again. Slight technical fault there. So we're going to up the tension on the last cross. Hopefully finally we settle this once and for all. So I know it's my 6th string, right? Yeah. Oh, I messed that up. Okay, no worries. No problem at all. No problem at all. I got a little bit mixed up on what string was which. Fine. Oh, coolio. Just have to. Hopefully I'm not confusing you. So we're back on the 7th and last main on this side. We're gonna go under, and we're gonna pull it through. Starting clamp here. Apologies for the boo-boo. I should know better, but hey, it happens. It's not a racket. Oh, up the tension. It's not a racket that I do every day. But as you can see, it does create some confusion. And now, yes, of course, it is the 6th. That's what I was saying before, but I put it on the 5th string. In my mind, it was right. See, fine, we're good now. In my mind, it was the right way, but practically, the theory was good, but the practice was not. Okay, so the last time this racket would have been strung, it seems that they use this side. It doesn't matter which side you go to because there's plenty of space, it would seem, for either side. Sorry, I am messing up again. I just need to tie it to the 7th and last main string. There was no need to try to use the awl or anything. I just haven't done this racket in a while. So there you go. So imagine what it must be like if you haven't done it at all. String keeps slipping on me. Trying to do the knot. Alright, looks like I've got that held nicely now. Yes, the string is still in my starting clamp. Okay, fine, we're good. Good to go. Okay, good. I'm going to cut the knot. Again, we've used a Parnell knot, as I always do. Okay, I'm going to pull this back a little bit just to get the clamp a little bit closer to what it was before without getting in my way, which it still will be there, so the difference is actually not that big. But it'll sort itself out as I will pull the string and it'll pull this little bit here. Okay, so the crosses, make sure you're weaving obviously opposites always. So I started under, I finished over. I indicate that I'm on the right track. Pull the string up and down, and I mean up and down, I mean this part here. My hand is inside the racket, moving the string up and down to avoid friction and effectively burning the string. And that's why strings typically do break, especially in tennis more frequently, because of the friction between the mains and the crosses. Therefore, it pretty much makes kind of a burning effect. So when you hit the tennis ball, for example, I guess squash ball as well, but squash is less a spin, so they're effectively scraping each other, especially when you're hitting the ball at a much faster pace or playing at a higher level. The string is suffering much more. So here again, bum bum bum, this clamp is going to be in my way in order to get this string to come down where I want it, like that. Pull the string down a little bit, and you'll see why in a moment. So a little bit complicated as we progress up into the crosses. It should get a little bit easier because we're getting away from these weird or awkward main strings that are very tight together. Okay. It's a little bit tricky. I would normally have weaved the string there without stopping, but seeing the situation on such a different racket, very different stringing pattern, which makes it a bit more interesting. If not, well, it always is the same anyway, but yeah, it's you know, the challenge is good. Challenge is good. Okay. Remember, your string should always, this string, your bottom string, in other circumstances, your top string should be different to the bottom, but in this case, bottom different to the top. Always opposite, always. If this string is under, that one should be over, which it is. If this string is over as it is, that one should be under, and it is. So again, we are stringing a Prince Spectro racket. I have seen this one a couple times, but there's another one more popular. I don't know if it's in color of red and black. I can't remember the name of it now. I'm not from a squash background myself, so I know how to string them all. I've never come across a racket I have not been able to do, well, in any of the racket sports, but I do remember it. It was actually with a friend who was helping me string at that point. And we just started doing squash rackets, and this one, a very similar one, came along. We're like, oh no, how do you do this? Because we noticed that the strings were flush, but we couldn't get them to be flush. So, and I've just realized this one's slightly overlapping here. Not the end of the world, but that is just the knot. Let's see if I can, there we go. There we go. So now they're completely flush. I had tied the knot and not pulled it slightly over or under. It was slightly, it wasn't overlapping, but it wasn't 100% flush. It was 80% flush. And if you have, well, I think I have a bit of OCD. So I like these things to be all very much so correct. Right, so now it's easier. It's getting easier and easier to pull the crosses through. Just FYI, I'm sure you can't feel it, but you might be able to see it. That one was a much easier one. And that's how it's going to start getting easier and easier. Again, 1480 stringing pattern, 14 mains, 18 crosses. But yeah, like I was saying, first time we did this racket, I mean, it took two of us to figure out how on earth do we do this. And I think there's been another one or two out there as well. Yeah, it can be very annoying stringing patterns that we don't know. And that's kind of the point of my content. I think that it's going to be all kinds of different rackets. I'm not going to get too specific with one racket or just the mains, or just make 1 or 2 or 3 videos of just the mains. Yeah, my videos might be quite repetitive, but when people need to find a specific racket, oh, how do I do this? They've got stuck, you know, they're not too experienced. Well, that's the idea, is to hopefully be able to help a few people out there that are less experienced and just looking to do a few different specific rackets, and hopefully this will be helpful to some. I'm stringing from home, by the way. We have 2 workshops, one here and another one 2 miles away, where my colleague Charles helps me out. So a shout out to him. He's actually got a full-time job in the city of London. He doesn't need to string, chooses to do it because he wanted a bit of a side hustle. Not even a hustle, he just wanted something to do after work, which is, can't understand it. He gets home, he does some office work, strings some rackets, and repeat. Instead of thinking, well, I think he goes swimming quite early, or goes to the gym or whatever he does every morning, nice and early, 4 or 5 a.m, something like that. But yeah, if I had an office job, I don't think I'd be doing that. I'd be going to play tennis or whatever sport I felt like after work. But then I understand, you finish your day, maybe not so physically tired with the office job, but maybe mentally tired, and finding the motivation could be tricky. But hey, we're all different. Certain things that might work for someone might not work for me, and vice versa. Alright guys, well, as you can see, that's the second last. I didn't loop around because I'm starting to not have as much string, so I might not even do the one in front now. There's no point in doing one in front or stringing one ahead of myself, because then I won't have enough string to make it here, as you can see. So I'm just going to pull this one. Excuse me. Do one last weave. That's under, so I need to go over and weave it. I had a bit of a paper cut on here yesterday, and it's opened up. It's got worse. It's a bit annoying. Not too bad though. Yesterday I was stringing with my middle finger. Today I'm back with the index finger, but it is, I don't know if I've strung 7-8 rackets today, give or take, and it's now getting worse again. But anyway, all good. Right, and there you have it. We're going to do one finishing knot, which is the Parnell knot. Down, around, make a simple single knot. Then we're going to go right through the knot, first knot that we made. And there you have it. And no need to pull too tight, as long as you're taking away the lag that sits between the last string, the last cross in this case, and the knot. You'll always have a little piece popping out here. Just tighten the knot just enough so you can tighten the knot nicely without breaking the string. There you have it, guys. Last but not least, check my work, make sure all is well. Strings are actually very straight without making my head bigger than it already is, probably. Sounds good to me. I'm not a big fan of synthetic gut on the, especially 130 synthetic gut on the squash rack. It's much nicer to play with the multi-filament. But there you have it, guys. The Spectro Pro Prince. The name's also up here. Spectro. Over here you've got it. Spectro Pro. Hopefully that was useful for some of you. Have a good one, guys. Till the next video. Happy stringing. Take care. Bye-bye.